Okay, so I have an introductory video to show you first. That's not working. There we go.
Click the...
Yeah, right. You better get back to school, little boy.
Get your ass in jail! Ow! Hey, what the hell are you doing? You can't do that! Ow! Ow!
So my presentation is called Respect My Authority and Watch South Park. So first I'll start off by talking about a brief history of South Park. It was informally conceived in 1992 when Trey Parker and Matt Stone, the creators and writers of the show, created a stop-motion film called The Spirit of Christmas, which featured the characters we now know and love in the actual show. That was followed in 1995 by a second The Spirit of Christmas, which was another film animated short. And the two films are distinguished. The first being Jesus versus Frosty, and the second one being known as Jesus versus Santa. And after going viral and after gaining popularity, Comedy Central eventually picked up the show, and Fox outright refused because they didn't want to feature the character Mr. Hanky, which is a talking piece of poop. And in 1997, they aired their first official episode, which was the pilot, and that was called Cartman Gets an Anal Probe. So initially, after airing, immediately there was controversy and backlash, and that mainly came from two groups of people. The first being parents. So as you may expect, there was a whole cult of parents that were overtly and actively against the entire show and what it represented, simply because their children had easy access and free access to the content of what they were showing on TV. In fact, the Parents Television Council, which is, for those of you that don't know, which is a censorship advocacy group, are quoted saying that the show is fundamentally against the democracy. And also, since the show isn't afraid to make fun of religious groups and belief systems, there was also a lot of backlash and criticism emanating from religious groups. One of the most famous incidents happened after South Park aired its 200th episode, which featured the religious character, or the religious icon, Muhammad. And in the episode, he wore a bear costume and started dancing. And so after that episode aired the next day, the Islamic group Revolution Muslim said, "We have to warn Matt and Trey that what they are doing is stupid, and they will probably wind up like Theo Van Gogh." And for those of you that don't know, Theo Van Gogh was a Dutch film producer, director, and author who, after 9/11, wrote a book that was highly critical of Islam, and he was brutally murdered by a member of the Islamic community. And another famous incident in which a South Park episode generated a lot of criticism was the episode called Trapped in the Closet. And throughout the entire episode, it made fun of the belief system Scientology, and it made it seem like it was this completely ridiculous belief system. In the episode, there was a scene, as you can see here, where you can sort of see it, in which they put on screen, this is what Scientologists actually believe, and they hyped up what Scientologists actually believe. And this generated a lot of criticism from celebrities and members of the Scientology community, including Tom Cruise. And soon after the episode aired, the voice of Chef, Tom Hayes, left South Park, saying, "There's a place in this world for satire, but there is a time when satire ends, and intolerance and bigotry toward religious beliefs and others begin." But what many people fail to understand and fail to see is that South Park routinely conveys a deeper, more important social message So in that episode that you just saw, that you saw a little snippet of it in the last slide, yes, they're making fun of Scientology, but at the same time, they're making fun of belief systems in general. So they're making fun of the robustness of belief systems. So they're not just making fun of Scientology. They're making fun of the idea of believing something that doesn't have substantial evidence. So why should we believe Scientology? Why should we believe Islam? Why should we believe the Jewish faith? Why should we believe Christianity if what they're telling us has no substantial evidence? And who's to say that one is correct over the other? They're all on the same level playing field. So I have one more clip to show you guys.
Am I a joke to you? What? I just wanted to know, is that all I am? A big joke? No. You do have a Facebook page, Stan! Oh, goddammit, no, I just got that because I saw your page, Stan. Relationship status? Single? Relationship status? I didn't even pay any attention to that. Single, Stan? So that you can use Facebook to find other girls? According to your Facebook page, you are friends. Alright, I'll add you as a friend, I'm sorry. And you better change your relationship status to in a relationship. How? By adding your profile under basic information. Okay, I'm sorry. Edit profile. Basic settings. Jesus Christ.
Stan, why won't you be friends with Grandma?
Dad, I just really don't want to pay attention to this
Grandma
thing.
is in the hospital, and you won't even be friends with her.
Alright, Dad, I'll add Grandma as a friend.
That's better. Oh, and I sent you a funny picture, and you didn't respond to it.
Dude, fuck Facebook, seriously.
So obviously this clip is making fun of our attachment to social networking and technology and how such futile problems can come to dictate our life. And the main element that they're using in that clip in all of their episodes is satire, which is a technique employed by writers to expose and criticize foolishness and corruption of an individual or a society by using humor, irony, exaggeration, or ridicule. It intends to improve humanity by criticizing its follies. So what you'll see in many of South Park episodes is that they'll use this device. And if we take a step back and look at the history of satire, we see that there are a whole slew of historically acceptable and socially acceptable pieces of and works of satire. And that includes Slaughterhouse-Five, A Modest Proposal, and Animal Farm, which are works I bet most of you guys have read in one of your English classes that shows so far. So through that device of satire, they're trying to achieve the same goal, which is to provide social commentary on our humanity. They're trying to improve humanity. So all in all, just be the smarter viewer. Don't get offended and think. So if you're laughing, if you're angry, try and analyze why you're having that experience. Don't be afraid to listen or observe something that makes you feel uncomfortable, because oftentimes the things that make us uncomfortable will provide us with the better learning opportunities. And I have one more thing to show you guys. So I asked Ned what he thought about South Park, and he said it's kind of like me, both satirical and sophisticated, but at the same time sophomore. It's a good show. And Gallagher. So, you guys should watch the show. Thank you.